So I have to wear my Taylor Swift cardigan today. It's the second one. It's the limited edition. Yes, because it actually does have something to do with the pour. And no, I'm not really making a Taylor Swift soap. I haven't figured out Evermore yet. And I'm going to tell you what soap I am making in just a minute. But before I do, hello, I'm Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, Sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You are at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things, and you are here for day 296 of 365 days of soap, and we are doing a bar that if I got to name it, I would call it Champagne Problems. I don't get to name it though. This is actually not a bar for me. This is for a wholesale account, so you can pick it up from her if you decide that you love it, for sure. But with this one, it is beautiful. It smells of champagne. It has beautiful swirls inside of it, and it did actually give me some problems. But more importantly, I was pouring this bar while Evermore was playing, and so champagne, Evermore, Taylor Swift. It's any reason to talk about Taylor Swift, I'm going to take it. Really? So let's go to the pour, and I will explain this process for kind of a long pour, really, in the video, and we can chit chat there. Okay, before we actually get too far into this, full disclosure, this is not my soap. So the naming of the soap, Champagne Problems, I don't actually get to name this. This is for a wholesale account, and so they can name it whatever they want. But yeah, I am still lost in the quagmire of folklore and Evermore, because Taylor Swift is amazing at all the things. And I love the song Champagne Problems. And as I was pouring this soap, actually, Evermore was playing in the background, because Taylor Swift is always playing in the background of my life. It's either Taylor Swift or Hamilton, because that's my range. That's it. That's the whole thing. And Champagne Problems actually came on while I was making this soap. So I love it and find it to be a fun name, but it's not really, what this bar was intended to be. So, I mean, this is their January bar, their New Year's bar, all of the things, but also Taylor Swift, super cool. New Year's Eve, glitter on the floor after the party. I'll be picking up bottles with you on New Year's Day. All of the things, Champagne Problems. Yeah, no, I mean, it's perfect. And I don't get to name soaps for wholesale accounts, but if this were in my line, it would be called Champagne Problems. And that's the whole thing. So we actually do have a lot of describing of all of the things to get to, which we're going to have to do, during the pour, because I spent all the time in the beginning of the video talking to you about Champagne Problems, really just because I wanted another opportunity on the channel to talk about Taylor Swift and Evermore and folklore and all of the amazing things that she is in the world. And so, yes, this pour, this is an interesting pour because we are doing soap curls inside of, in a slab, and it's a double batch slab. So at the end of all of this, we will be cutting these bars into their appropriate like sizes widthwise, but then also we're cutting it from top to bottom to create 2 bars out of each, all the things, and we're putting that in there. Those soap curls. Yes. And those soap curls took so long to make. Like so long. Hours, I think. Maybe not hours, but a very long time. So yes, I made them and kind of arranged them in a pattern in another slab, so then I could transfer them over to the soap. And here's the thing with soap curls, because you have all the curlicues and all the things that are going on, right? You want to, you know, make sure that you have enough, because with this, the bottom layer, yeah, it should definitely be firm enough to hold all these up and hold them in place so they don't start moving around in weird ways or whatever. But the rest of the soap that you pour on top of it, you want it to stay super, super, super fluid. Like, add emulsion, that's it. That's the whole thing while you are doing all of this. So you're kind of working on a time crunch to actually get all of the little curlicues and everything in to the bottom layer of soap before you pour over the top, because you don't want any big pockets inside the curlicues. You want it to be thin enough that it will actually pour into and fill up all of the soap curls. So that's what we're working with right now. And so I poured off just about, I don't know, like 30 ounces or so that I've put into the bottom of the mold and I've thickened it up to, you know, do the thing so we can put all the curlicues in. And I'm just sort of eyeballing the placement of these curls, and it's not going to be in the same place, obviously, but again, my issue was I wanted to make sure that I had enough to do the whole batch, so I didn't have to go make any more on the fly or cut any more on the fly and then curl them and do other things. Because by that time, the soap that's waiting in the big pot would be thick, and then it would be hard to get them into the little crevices and cracks that soap curls currently have. Now, the coloring for this particular soap is a yellow Brazilian clay mixed with a pink Brazilian clay to give it a nice champagne-y color for the base of the fluid batter right there, right? Which is awesome. And the scent blend, as you might expect, smells of champagne. And it's not any kind of champagne, it's pink champagne, because An Affair to Remember is one of my most favorite movies in the whole entire world, and I like it when Deborah Carr, yes, says I like pink champagne, and so it's pink champagne. And we accomplished pink champagne by mixing bergamot, grapefruit, ginger, and ylang ylang, because yes, and it's delightful. It's a little bit sweet, it's a little bit floral, it's a little bit bubbly. It is a nice, bright, effervescent scent, which is perfect for January of 2021, ringing in the new year and doing all the things, right? It's a champagne bar. And I liked this idea when this wholesale account messaged me and said she wanted to do a champagne bar for January. I went, okay, what do I do for this? And I immediately thought of like roses floating in a beautifully, you know, amber colored champagne glass, which is weird because I don't ever think that I've actually had champagne with roses inside of it. Have you? Is that a thing? Is that like a thing? That would be cool if that was a thing, except I don't really want to drink roses. But, you know, whatever. I thought of a beautiful light pink, dark pink, a gradient thing going on with the pinks and in, you know, champagne. And so this came to mind and this was born. And luckily, a couple days after she sent this, this wholesale account actually was in the shop, and I'm like, hey, come here. What do you think of this idea? And she said yes, so that's awesome, and that's great because I had already made like a grip of soap curls at that point, so I was really happy that she didn't say, oh no, I hate it, do something else, because that would have been devastating, but it really wouldn't have been devastating. I would have just used this idea for a soap for our line, really, because I think it's cute, and I'm really excited to, you know, cut into this, really, because this is an interesting pour. Again, it's a double batch with all of this, so this is going to go up to the tippy top of the slab mold, and it will be cut into 6 pieces down the length of the mold, and then those 6 pieces will all be cut in half and then in half again, so each piece creates 4 bars. And so we will be exposing all manner of different patterns within all of this, which is just absolutely delightful. It's going to be pretty and champagne-y and pinky and, you know, January-y, whatever. And, you know, for whatever reason, I also thought of Taylor Swift throughout this whole thing. But the reason that I thought of Taylor Swift throughout this whole thing, honestly, probably was because, again, I was listening to Taylor Swift while I was making this. But now that all the soap curls are in the mold, I am using a very thin batter, and luckily the scent blend, the essential oils, loosened up the batter really well, so it's very thin going in. And so my target really is the center of all of these curlicues right now, so they can start filling in, and the soap can start sort of like, you know, seeping down to fill in all the extra air pockets and all the things. And then I will be doing, you know, like multiple passes with all of this, and multiple bangs of the mold onto the counter to make sure that everything is settling nicely between the passes, to make sure that it's all, that we don't have any big air pockets that kind of can't be fixed. Because the thing with slab molds is you don't actually have like an end piece that gets trimmed off with all of this. Like, I will probably plane the top of this off, but not the bottom. So there's less soap, less soft soap to play with to like fix any sort of air pockets. And so I definitely don't want that. And see, as I bang that down, you can see how much it settled, and there's still quite a bit more soap that needs to be put into this mold to bring it all to the level of the curls, really. So we're gonna work with that and continue focusing on aiming for the center of all these curlicues, so that middle piece gets filled in, and, you know, hope it all works. I'm excited for this cut, but at the same time I'm scared for this cut, because I don't want it to be terrible. Because in my head, I see what this is going to look like when it's all said and done. And if I cut into these and see that it's not what I had planned, I might cry. Honestly. Like, that might, because this is going to be really pretty, and this is something that for this particular wholesale account we've never done anything quite like this, and so it's kind of flirty, it's kind of fun, and I think that it kind of represents the personality of this wholesale client pretty well. Not that she's like flirty or whatever, but she's definitely fun, and she has, you know, she's bubbly, and champagne is bubbly. And so, like, I wanted to do something that's kind of representative of her, because we spend so much time doing things that are representative of her brand in her line, that we should do things that are representative of her as well, because she is a huge part of her brand and selling her, you know, her brand. And that's the case with all businesses at this point, you know, like, and I love that we are moving away from the faceless big corporations, whatever, and we actually make our decisions based on, you know, the type of person that's in front of you, or the type of, you know, business model that they have. Like, it's great. And so, yeah, this should totally mimic that, because she's lovely and delightful and bubbly, like champagne, like pink champagne. I like pink champagne. It's an Affair to Remember. It was a very popular movie. When I was growing up, this movie's so old. It's older than my mom. It's way, way, way older than me. But my mom really loved old movies, and we watched a bunch of them as a result. And I was actually surprised, because we watched a whole bunch of musicals too. Like, An Affair to Remember is not a musical, but, you know, same sort of old movie type thing. And I was actually really surprised and a little bit hurt that when I got into the real world, that like people just didn't randomly burst into song on like the bus or the light rail or whatever, like, you know, and sing in the rain and dance on the light poles. And they don't do that in the real world. And I was kind of heartbroken because my whole life as a child, like, those were the movies that we watched. They were musicals and old movies, and like things were simple and awesome. And yeah, no, it was adulting was kind of a weird experience for me, because I'm like, this is not it at all. Where is Spencer Tracy and Cary Grant and Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers and, you know, all of the people, they don't exist. But this soap is very reminiscent of like the old-timey whatever, I think, and I have very, very high hopes for the cut. And I really hope that this is not me like doing like an foreshadowing, right? Because I actually haven't seen this cut yet. Like, I just came home after making this and immediately loaded it and edited it and started talking about it. I have no idea what it's going to look like inside. I have not seen it. I cannot wait to. So let's go check that out. I was so excited for this cut. Like, I got to the shop at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and this was the first thing that I did. I had 9,000 other things to do, and I'm like, nope, not prepping my lye solution, not doing any other things. I'm gonna cut this bad boy first, because look at the cute little swirls. It's so pretty. I'm so excited. And yeah, so this will be a hand cut for me. If you have one of those, like, you know, single cutter wire things, yeah, do that. That's cool. But I use my tape measure and a knife, and that works out too. So the process for this guy, I'm not going to show you like the full cutting of the slab, because I've showed that to you like a lot. So, you know, whatever. Because it is a double batch in a slab, it will be cut into, you know, a couple pieces here. It'll be cut into 6 pieces here, and then each of those pieces will be cut into 2, and they'll be cut into 2 again from top to bottom. It's all a thing. It'll all make sense. But I mean, so far I'm super excited about this, just looking at the top. Now, that top will be planed off, so it will be kind of flush, like the cuts that you'll see in the middle, hopefully. I mean, the whole thing could also just fall apart, is the thing. There's also that chance, but then it would really be champagne problems. Like, yeah, the whole thing. So yeah, it just gets chunked out, and then I will be cutting each of these chunks in half again, from, you know, left to right with the whatever. You've seen me cut slabs before. It's, yeah, that, exactly. Take them and cut those in half, and then once those are all cut in half again, so they're like the size of a soap bar, right? Then they go to the wire cutter to cut them in half again from top to bottom, and see what we have inside, which is super duper exciting. So, look at that. Those are so pretty. Oh my God. Now that's the bottom of the mold that I just showed you, and that's the middle, obviously. And so the stuff at that's the middle again. And then the other side of this, I am going to plane down so those swirls look better and you can see them better. And, you know, again, that's why planers were created, to do something like this. And that's cute. Look at that. That's so fun. Oh my gosh. Now this actually did the job for me. This one was a little bit thicker, so it did the cutting of the top for me. And so both sides look adorable. That is so cute. Oh my gosh. I am obsessed. This is perfect. So this is yeah, no, I'm happy. That makes me happy. Now all of these that were for the top ones, so 12 of the bars, then get planed through the, you know, sent through the planer to take the top kind of, you know, it's kind of rough, and some of the, you know, swirls were kind of not fully exposed. And so yeah, just take them to that. And if I see any air pockets, use the wet soap that I'm actually, or the fresh soap that I'm actually cutting off, to fix it all up and make it all beautiful. And it's gorgeous. I'm so excited about this. It smells like champagne, right? Like pink champagne. I told you that. I told you that. I totally told you that. But yeah, it's perfect. This is I could not be happier with this, honestly. That is a gorgeous, beautiful, fun bar of soap. Smells of champagne and has cute soap curls and all of the things in it. And they're all different and unique and varied in the whole process. They're so pretty. I love these. I'm like low-key jelly that this isn't for my line. Like, I want this. I want this in my line. I would actually name it Champagne Problems too. The wholesaler will probably not name it Champagne Problems because she's not as into Taylor Swift as I am, but I keep working on her. She'll get there one day. That's day 296. So I'm low-key jealous that these aren't my soaps. Like, I was sad to see them go because they are beautiful. They are just across the board so gorgeous. I love the little curly Q in-bed design with all of it and how each of the little pinks are a little bit different and this nice pale base. Like, delightful for sure. And I was super happy to have done it. It actually ended up weirdly being a pretty cathartic experience when it was all said and done. And it reminded me a lot of like playing Tetris, right? And moving everything. Yes, totally. And so again, you cannot get these from soapandclay.com. If you are interested in what I am calling Champagne Problems, you can find them on her website at adropintheoceanshop.com for sure. If you're interested in seeing what else I come up with for the remainder of this channel and all of the things, I mean, not the remainder of the channel, right? Like, we're gonna have a year two. I think we're having a year two. We're having a year two. Yeah, you could subscribe. That would be awesome. I would love to have you along for this ride. And for those of you who are subscribed, hey, thanks for being awesome. I love having you along for this ride, and I am glad that you are cool with me, you know, throwing in my Swiftie fandom every once in a while and still coming back for more days when I don't do that. And tomorrow is probably a day where I'm not going to do that, most likely. So yeah, you could come back tomorrow and I would appreciate that. For today, I appreciate you having joined me here. I will see you guys all again tomorrow for another round of soapy fun. Bye.